This conference will now be recorded.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So, I think let us start. Yeah, some participants still joining, but yeah, let's make a start. Mm, okay. So last session we discussed about yard management. Okay. So our warehouse we connected it to yard, and we were able to carry out the um, outbound process using yard. So we created a truck, which is a transportation unit for EWM, and we moved the transportation unit from the door, sorry, from the gate to the door, and then we loaded the parts, and then we, took the truck up to the checkpoint and did a checkout. So basically, we did one round of yard activity for outbound process. Okay. So today, I was probably discussing with you guys last time whether we should discuss production integration, or we should discuss the further topic related to creation rule and delivery integration. So I just decided that let's continue with our outbound process and discuss the creation rule, because you already talked about creation rule in wave management. Let us complete the creation rule, and then we can um, do the storage control for outbound. Then we can move back to the production integration. So we have parked one topic for outbound process, which will come back later. Okay. So we would be today discussing on unit 7, which is delivery integration warehouse order creation rule. So, as you might have seen, slowly we are moving from the um, basic warehouse to the complex warehouse. Yeah. So now a lot of configuration and detailed functionalities we have been discussing. So now today what basically we want to talk is this unit is basically about two it's about two important configuration in EWM, okay, which is about integrating the deliveries to document type in ERP, and we are also going to discuss about what is warehouse order creation rule, and how it influences the creation of the warehouse order in waves. Okay, so let's talk about the creation rule first. Okay, because wave management is something which we have recently covered. So let me give you a quick recap of where we are going to touch with our discussion is going to touch base with the wave management. So in wave management, we saw that there are deliveries for different types of outbounds grouped together into different waves, and then we assign those deliveries to the different wave option. Okay, and one wave can have multiple deliveries. So we were talking about waves, tasks getting created for the waves, and in that case, we want to make sure that when the tasks are created for the wave, they are grouped together into an order. Okay, so so the action which is performed by wave. Okay, so let's say wave 100. Okay, it has it is assigned to delivery. Yeah, delivery 80001, and it is also assigned to delivery 8002 and 3. Okay, now in this 8002 and 3, we might need to group the items together. So what we saw last time is, let's say, delivery 8001 contains product EST100, and 2 it contains product product EST200, for example, and this contains product EST300, same product. Okay, so let's make it as the middle one as a different product. Okay, let's say these are the waves. In the wave there are 3 deliveries and 2 of them have the same product, one has a different product. Okay, there can be multiple products in a delivery. I've just taken 3 products here. So now, when as of now in the current state, without using creation rule, okay, system is creating 3 orders: WOCR1, WOCR2, WOCR3. So now these all 3 parts are to be picked from. Okay, all these parts, 3 parts, let's say they are stored in 8001. All 3 of them are stored in 8001 in storage type 8001. Okay. Now without creation rule, what Wave is doing when Wave is getting released, it is simply creating separate order for each item. Now here we need to be, we need to talk about what are the possible combination, what where creation rule can help us, and why this is not a good thing to have a separate order. Because these are separate orders means when I go to my scanner, I'll be given this order, pick this material. I'll pick it, I then have to put it in the staging area. Then system will give me this order. I'll pick this, put it in the staging area. Then so I'm moving to and fro from 8001 to the final bin. Why can't I can group all of them together? Okay. So now whereas the creation rule will help us to do that. There can be several options. What we can do is we can say oh, this is warehouse order one and not CR1. So there can be 3 types of creation rule. Okay, one creation rule, let's say option one. Some customer will say, okay, Rohan, please make sure all the items are grouped together. Okay, while picking. So I want a 001 order should also include the same product. So when I go to pick, I'm picking for multiple deliveries in one order. So I'll be picking this part, putting in the staging area. They'll come and pick the other part. Okay. Some companies may say, hey, since I don't segregate based on the product, but rather make sure when you're going to an area, a bin, all the products in the nearby area, you pick them. So I'll pick two, these all 3 of them in order because they are in the same area. The order will contain all 3 of them, and when I go to that bin, I'll pick one, two, three. These two quantity will be merged, and I'll be shown as one quantity, and then I'll be told to pick a next product. I'll put all of them in the staging area. Job done. I did a optimized picking. Okay. So now in warehouse order creation rule, there are important points you need to consider. One, the creation rule is basically um, grouping of tasks into an order. Okay, so there are, I would not say one, but there are several parameters that we need to understand. First, when we talk about the creation rule, that means what is the filter? I'm just putting the limit. I'm just putting the important parameters that we need to consider. Okay. And then determination of rule. Here are three things you need to understand. Important things. There are many things um, in a creation rule. It also helps us to determine the. It also helps us with the identify. So filter. There will be um, there will be several deliveries. Okay, there will be deliveries for outbound to production, outbound to STO, outbound to sale order. There will be um, you know deliveries belonging to certain route. There will be deliveries picked. Now here all the deliveries, how they are grouped together in a wave. Basically, we we a wave can, let's say, have 100 deliveries. Okay, so now when the deliveries are 100, I'd say, first I'm going to create all the orders. I want to create all the orders for items that are picked from 8001. Okay, so what is my 8001? That's my criteria. Okay, based on which I am grouping the orders. Okay, so other sometimes I'll say, okay, the filter is route. I mean, which deliveries I'm going to pick. So here I'm picking all the deliveries which is for whom the part is supposed to be picked from 8001. But let's say I may say, okay, first I would pick all the I want to group all the deliveries belonging to a certain route. So that means I want to pick all the items which are going to Chicago, all the items which are going to Chicago in one order. Okay, so that when I go for picking, I pick them in an order, and that order, that entire pallet. So while picking itself, I'll put the material in a pallet, and that material, that pallet goes to the Chicago region. Okay, so sometimes I'll say, group all the products based on. So see, this is not three deliveries. I've just given you an example of usage of backspecs. The number of deliveries can be more. Okay, so it can be, it can range up to 100. Again, you need to decide that. Like in wave, we can decide the capacity of a wave. Okay, but which deliveries are considered. So there are 100 deliveries which are supposed to go at 5 p.m. and this wave is for 5 p.m. release. So when we group the orders, you know what is the criteria? For first criteria is route. Then I'll say, then after route is the source activity area, right? Or I would say I have a separate grouping for route, and then I will have separate grouping based on ship to party. I mean, all going to one particular customer should be grouped together, right? So there are several factors based on which you are going to say. So this rule is applicable. So filter means, for which delivery items this rule is applicable. Okay? So basically what we'll do is we'll create a creation rule sequence. Warehouse order creation rule 1, warehouse order creation rule 2, okay, and warehouse order creation rule 3. So in the config, we'll say, warehouse order creation rule 1, the filter criteria is FL01, FL02, FL03. Okay. Here I'll say, all, let's say route, I'll say all delivery belonging to route TR001, should be part of creation rule 1. They will be grouped together one. I'll create another rule. Let's say I'm going as per route. Another, basically I'm saying, these items. So when you have, so many tasks, we are split, in creation rule 1, only the task of root 1 will be grouped. So what my customer has told me, everything which is going into a group root should be grouped. Don't look at material. Okay. So we maintain a filter criteria. Filter means which delivery items are applicable, only that particular rule. So basically when we create a wave, it can have, roots of, it can have several routes. 100 deliveries can have 4 5 different routes. So basically it will come and it will check which creation rule is applicable to it. Okay. So route means, it defines, which region, which route that truck is going to take to deliver the parts. So what we have is, we what we do is we create several creation rules, and then we say what is the when this rule will be applicable, in which what purpose. So um, if at all, um, system is not so now I'm saying here, there are sequence in which system is going to check a rule. So you might have observed, even though we have not yet done a creation rule config, still we are able to execute our transactions. Okay, so this creation rule is a optional in warehouse order. If you want, you can do it. If you don't want, you will still be able to confirm your order. So there, what system does is this system will follow this config. So there are 5 routes, and creation rule is only maintained for 3 of them. Remaining 2, system will give a default creation rule. Okay, so this is called as a remainder rule. So for all the delivery items for which we couldn't assign a creation rule, system will give them a default creation rule. Sometimes default, or system will give UND, that means undetermined. That means system has assigned an internal creation rule. Okay, so every order has a creation rule, either it from config, or if it doesn't find from config, then it will take the internally it will take DEF undetermined, and it will try to do the grouping itself, and technically by the system itself. Okay, so filter criteria, which rules are applicable, then limit. See, warehouse order, when just imagine hundreds of deliveries. If if you're grouping based on route, so let's say there are 50 tasks going to a particular route. So that will make one order of 50. Now, as a person, as a resource, okay, using forklift as as a resource, I'm using forklift. I'm the RF user. At one go, I cannot pick 50 items into an order. So this controls, what is the warehouse order size. So my size can be based on the weight. I can only pick 50 kgs, or my size could be volume, or my size could be number of pallets, or my size could be number of tasks. I can only pick 10 tasks. So basically we create a size. So if there are 50 tasks, and system may create 5 orders for 50 tasks. Okay, considering that considering that one order, I have maintained the size 10 tasks per order. Okay, I can give that size whatever weight, volume, whatever size I want. That will control based on this, config limit config to control, how the items are grouped together. All the what is the size of the warehouse order. Otherwise, all 50, if they are part of one order, it will be difficult for the resource to handle. Then packaging profile, it is basically controls packaging profile. It controls the pro- packaging material proposal. See, when we have a warehouse order, okay, Now, what we are also going to see is, when we pick an item, we have a warehouse order there. Sometimes, we may not pick the entire pallet. So, for example, I have 10 parts, all have different pallet sizes. But when my customer needs, he may need one of one material, two quantity of another material. So I pick all this quantity onto a pallet. So my pallet is nothing but a packaging material. Like you go with a trolley in a for your grocery shopping, that's nothing but your packaging material. So the trolley is packaging material. We pick the parts into that trolley. So system can also automatically, we can configure that, when you create an order, system automatically creates a trolley for you, or it proposes you that, this type of order, pick it on a container or pick it on a trolley or pick it on a pallet. It creates a pallet for you, and then you don't have to decide which pallet to take, which size of pallet to take. You take a pallet and then you start putting parts into that pallet. Okay. So this is, you know these are the important configuration that we will carry out in system for the creation rule, and then see how it will group the orders, group the task, and we'll also see how the packaging material is proposed, how we can pick onto a pallet, multiple items onto a pallet, how we can do that. Okay. So the pallet, when we are picking item like all these three products, we want to first create a pallet, and in that pallet we will pick it. See, there are two things. One, we pick the material and then we pack them here, right? uh, we take them to a packing area and we pack them here, or while picking itself, I'll pick one from here, one from here, one from here. I take a trolley, I pick them together, I put the trolley here, and then I send it to the dispatch and goods issue that trolley. So either, or a pallet, I pick a empty pallet, I pick the materials that I want to send to the customer. Then I don't need to, separately pack here. I can just directly take the materials, put them onto pallet. Directly I can keep the pallet here and goods issue it. Okay. So sometimes we do the packing while we are picking onto the right type of pallet. Okay. So when we create a pallet, the other important point to note is the the labeling of the pallet. Okay. We need to make sure the pallets are labeled correctly. So we'll talk about labeling as we go ahead, but this is how the flow is going to be. So in a way, we'll have multiple deliveries and we will configure creation rule, make sure the right creation rule is determined. So we can create several creation rule and give the filters which one is applicable. So system will first check creation rule 1. If it's applicable, no. Go to second, no. Third, no. And then finally it will, if there are no creation rule sequences, it will it will try to go and internally assign a creation rule. Okay. So shall we look into the system? Any questions so far from anyone on the creation rule? Are we clear?
Yeah, Rohan, you can go.
Okay. So creation rule is a main topic which comes under outbound itself, but we are discussing as a separate unit because it's very important from the overall, execution perspective. We can also have, we are talking creation rule in terms of outbound, but we can also have creation rules in inbound. But generally, inbound during put away, we don't see such kind of complexities, grouping of tasks, multiple. Inbound, it is pretty much straightforward, A pallet is there. Even wave is not used for inbound, right? Because a pallet is there, inbound it is clear. Pallet is there, we need to put it away. There is no scheduling of times required as per waves, or no grouping of tasks required. Just have to, because we get bulky materials. The pallets already made by the vendor. We just have to take them and place them here into the racks. So these concepts, we discuss as part of outbound because that's where we use them mostly. Okay. Okay, so here you can see all the configuration, filter, limit, packaging profile, creation rule. Okay, so these are the configurations I was talking about. Then there are sorting. Sorting means it controls, how, if you have 10 tasks in an order, which one should come first. Generally, if you remember here in our very first example, we spoke about, different users into different activity areas. Yeah. So here we did discuss about sorting. So now when the tasks are created, the warehouse, when the wave is released, the warehouse order will be grouped. Separate order for Arjun, separate for Nabho, separate for Dinesh. And then, which items should be picked. So now a wave is released for, let's say route TR001. Then it will be further split based on activity areas. Okay, the task will be split it based on activity areas. Okay, so we will look into that. Let us get the config in place first. Okay, so I was just thinking, where do we start? Okay, so let me first create a filter. Okay, okay, so this is a standard filter. You can see here it's saying, full pallet withdrawals. So that means, you can see there's an indicator here, only full pallets. So this rule is applicable, wherever this filter will be applied, that rule will be applicable when you pick the full pallets. So I think I don't need to copy this. Let me take another one, maybe. So standard SAP has given 6 filters. If you go to the config, you will get good understanding, what are the different possible variations in a creation rule. Okay, so let's say I will say filter FL01. I'll say picking, outbound picking. Okay, so I was mentioning you about, you maintaining route as a criteria. You can maintain also process types. Each delivery has a different process type, so you can say only the process type will control the process. For example, 2010 only outbound for production, 2020 only outbound for STOs, 2030 outbound for production. So you can control, based on process type where it is applied. And you can also give other information like routes. If you remember that we also had another, we also had something called as wave category, where in the wave config, when we were discussing wave, there was a config which we created, wave category. So if you want this creation rule, whatever creation rule we are going to create, should only be applied to those kind of waves, like certain waves, then you can give the wave category also here. Okay. See, there are other criteria, which Basically a delivery item, what characteristics or what values it should have so that it goes into a wave into a particular creation rule. So this is the filter or criteria, I would say. So you can also have like minimum volume. This, the first order, the order should be created for the items which have minimum volume or minimum weight, because this is grouping of high, you know, this is grouping of products with more weight, or you know, minimum weight, maximum weight. I'll say I want to pick all the small parts together. So I'll say this grouping is only required for products less than 1 kg. Okay, so you can give all your criteria here based on which you want to consider that as a part of that group. Okay, so I would say my criteria is 2010 process type. Okay, I can also do root, but let us first, we need to also make sure that the root config is done in the delivery. So once you do that, we can also come and maintain here root. Okay, so that means all products which are going to a certain customer, a certain route where there are multiple customers. Okay, so now the next is the limit. Okay, so here limit, you can say what is the size of your order. So I'll say li01. See, my size of the order is I want the maximum. How many? What is my? Let's say I want maximum 3 HUs in my order, or I'll say maximum 4 tasks in an order, or I would say I want not more than 3 items in my order. So what I'm saying here is my package size, my order size should be 3. So at a time, a person can only handle a order of 3. Okay, I can also give what is the volume, what is the weight, that the order. So let's say there are 10 tasks. So here it will create 3 or 4 orders, 3 of 3 each and 1 of 1 each. Yeah. So we will create these orders, and when the so in case of 10 tasks getting created, the system will create 4 orders, because I'm giving that minimum, not minimum, I would say maximum number of items per order. I'll say 3. Okay, so you can give how. So basically when we are going to test it, we'll create a delivery of process type 2010, and then we would say we'll create 4 items. Okay, sorry, we'll create basically um, 4 items, and when we release the wave, system will create a 2 orders, one with 3 and another one with 1. Okay, so we want to see like how this limit works, how limit will create another order whenever the number of items goes more than 3. Okay, so we'll test that while we are determining this creation rule and releasing the wave. So let me come to the creation rule definition, and let me take copy an existing one. Okay, so I'll say WH35 creation rule is, so creation rule always try to copy from the existing standard one. Okay, whichever you see is more closely related to what you are doing. So here I would say C creation rule 01. Okay, picking from multiple customers, and then I would say limit is li01, and there is no filter here. I put my filter FL01, and then see there is something called as packaging profile, and storage process is also there. I'll remove that. So what is packaging profile? So packaging profile is going to, so basically this packaging profile will create a pack spec and it will generate a packaging material. So I'm going to show you first, where that packaging material should come in an order, warehouse order, how you pick onto a pallet. While picking, how you take an empty pallet, create that pallet, and put the stock onto the pallet. So I'll first show you that, without a packaging profile, and then I'll explain you that which step can be automated using packaging profile. Okay. So I think then there are other fields like inbound sorting, outbound sorting. Like if there are multiple tasks, how they are rearranged within that order. So always pick from the low level first, then high level. You can sort the items. So if there are 50 tasks which goes to a creation rule, and we are going to create 333, so how they should be sorted within that order? Sorry, how should they should be sorted? Like I'll say first sort them based on where they are supposed to be picked. First sort them based on product and then sort them where they are supposed to be picked. So if I'm going in aisle 1, my order should be to only pick from aisle 1. Okay, so you can sort how the items are sorted within that group. Subtotal filter is, again, if you have filter and then you want to again apply a separate filter, once the task is applicable within an order, you want to again check. So for example, I would say my order size, should not be my um, so when these orders are created, it will again check, whether if there are any further filter criterias, what should be considered. So basically, if I create an order for 50 items, then it will check, now the total weight is it exceeding my filter? If yes, then it will not consider this order and go to the next one. Creation rule, sorry, it will not consider this creation rule and go to the next one. You don't need to worry about subtotal. We don't use it, but after a delivery is applied, after a task is applied to a creation rule, then this subtotal can be a further level of filter during the processing. So as of now, you just don't consider it. We don't use it anywhere. Just try to understand these three terms. The item filter, limit, and the creation rule. Then creation indicator, creation category. I'll maintain it as pick path. That means follow the follow the sequence which we have created in the activity area. Like what is the picking path? We have given a sequence. This should be my pick path 1. This is my first bin which I'm going to reach. This is my second bin. This is my third bin. So you gave a pick path here. Mm, you need to. Yeah, we gave a sequence here. So this we'll start from here and then we'll go here. So this, what is your starting point and what is your end point and how the bins should be. Here it will be ascending order, but when you come here it goes in descending order. You can do a alternate bins here like this. So you want to pick the parts based on the creation rule, based on the pick path. In the creation rule, do consider the pick path and then group them. Okay. So creation rule we create, and then as I said, we can create several creation rules. So what we are going to do here is we are going to say warehouse WH35, activity area 8004, activity pick, a creation rule CR01 should be applied. Okay, and then we can give a sequence. See if there is some task created with 2020, we have a different sequence, different creation rule for that. So we will assign it to CR02. So here the system will check the filter. Filter is not applicable. Check the next order. If next order is not applicable, then system will internally determine something. Okay. We haven't created CR02, so I will just put something here. Okay. So apply this creation rule. If the filter is not applicable for this, go for the next one. So a creation rule is determined. Now what we'll do, we'll create several deliveries. We'll let's say create 4 deliveries. We'll see system creates 2 orders or not, because the size of the order is 3 tasks. And then when we are picking, we'll see how to pick on a trolley, how to pick on a pallet, so that we can pack the material while we are picking it. Okay, so let me create 4 deliveries, and let's see how the order is created for the package. And then let's see how do we execute that order, okay, with multiple items, with items for multiple deliveries. Okay, so let's see if we have some quantity left from that sale order we created. Okay, yes, we have. So let's say we create, let's say 4 or 5 deliveries here. First delivery created. Let's create the next one. Two. Let's create the next one. See, all of them are with one quantity. Yeah, it's created 3 deliveries now. Fourth one, and let me also create a fifth one. Okay, 1024 was the last. Okay, so I think these 5 are the ones which you have created today. Okay, I hope all of them belong to the same wave. Yeah, same wave, because the timings are same. So now in this wave, you can see there are 5 deliveries, same item. Okay, they're picked from the same area. Now, wave, what we do with wave, we release the wave to create an order. So now I'm going to release it to see, whether it's creating an order, considering my multiple deliveries, and an order is considering my. So all of them have created with process type 2010. That is what we have created, and then let's see whether it's grouping them and creating one order. So I'm going to release it now. So last time when we tested, it created 5. It would created 4 or 5 orders based on number of delivery number of orders it created. Now let us see whether it has grouped the delivery and created an order. So you can see, yes, it has considered our creation rule. So 2 orders are created, okay, and they're going to go into an outbound queue, and you can see the number of tasks is 3, and the other one, the number of tasks is 2. Okay, and then you can see the tasks, they belong to different delivery. So we are picking for multiple deliveries together. See, multiple deliveries, one order. This order is to pick for first 3 deliveries. The next order is pick the items for the other 2 delivery. Okay. So now a creation rule config has applied, and you can see here, you know, the creation rule CR01 is there. Okay. So probably what I did, I should have. Okay. Shown you the log. In the log, you can see all the limits, filters, everything getting applied. Mm, so display release log. If I think I have not activated the log. So basically, when you release it, please check the log. You can see, all the limit filters getting applied. Okay. So this is the prime aim of a wave, a creation rule. Group the task together based on filter, based on limit. Just focus on these two, because there are many other terms I don't get confused with other terms. Use as and when they need you need them, but limit and filter definitely you'll use them. Limit the size of the order, and we said 3. That was a limit of an order. And filter, it's basically which deliveries should be part of this creation rule. So which delivery item should be part of this creation rule. It can be route, it can be process type, it can be anything. So we have considered process type here. So this was applicable. Okay. Now let me take one of this order and confirm it on the scanner. Okay. So for example, let me take this one. Okay, the delivery with 3-line item. Okay. So when I'm going here onto the RF, from RF it will make more sense to understand the palette that I'm trying to explain you, how a palettes are created. Hmm. 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 I go for outbound, go for picking. I'll go for picking by warehouse order. I think you guys might have seen this screen before, and you might have seen I'm going next. You might be wondering what the screen is. This is the screen where we create a pick handling unit. Okay, we call the pallet or the trolley into which we are creating the material. It's a handling unit. We call that as pick handling unit because you're going to pick the parts onto that handling unit. Okay, so here, what is the packaging material? I will say the packaging material is, what packaging material do we use? Uh, what is the packaging material for a pallet? I think it's Euro pallet, I guess. Yeah. So what we do is to create a handling unit for the trolley or for the pallet into which you are going to pick the material. You have to enter the packaging material and say create. Okay. So here we did this packaging material creation manually. What packaging profile will do? It will propose you the packaging material, or it may also help you with, if you do the pack spec for that packaging profile, it will also help you with creating the pick handling unit. So if it or customer wants this to be automated, it can be done through packaging profile. There you need to give, which material, which packaging material is applicable, and then whether you just want to propose the packaging material or you want to create the handling unit also. Okay. So here system has created a pick handling unit. On this pick handling unit, we are going to pick the parts. Okay. So we say next. So here you can see we are picking parts from this bin and we are picking it onto this material or this palette. This is my destination HU. Pick from some HU and pick one piece and put it onto this. So system is saying, asking me which palette you want to pick the stock from. I would say bin. So I'll pick any palette. Yeah, I'll say pick from this palette. Pick one quantity, then put it into this HU. Then again, system is telling me, okay, now pick the next quantity. See, we can also optimize so that, if this item is same and the bin is same, why it is telling me 3 times? There is something called as combination profile where it will, give you just one task with 3 quantity. Okay, so that is also possible. So whatever you think, can optimize your picking process, everything is possible in EWM. Okay, it's very, very flexible. Either standard config or you can also do some body implementation and achieve it. You just have to ask for it. As a product, it is possible. Okay, so here we have picked three materials onto a pallet, and then we are just putting GI zone, and we are scanning the GI zone once, and we are going to place the pallet in the GI area. Okay, that's it, picking done. So if you look at these deliveries, um, you can see this delivery. You can see this pallet is a cross delivery handling unit. That means it has picked for materials of a different pallet now. And it may go to a packaging area, you may split the part, but you have picked the materials together, you may split them if required based on customer. Or you can just, if it's going to the same customer, you can just, you have grouped them into a pallet, now it will go to the customer. Okay. So here you can see the GA area we have Euro pallet. Okay. And then we can goods issue the pallet. So goods issue for all the three deliveries will be done. So we picked it onto a trolley, and I don't need to pack it further. I can just goods issue it. So when I goods issue the HU, all three deliveries will be goods issued. That's how powerful EWM is. You can see. See, all of them have been goods issue completed. Picking completed, packing completed, and goods issue completed. So using pick handling unit, we saw how we can pack while we are picking. Okay. So again, packing maybe to group them and place them into some area in the packing area, and then you can sort it, or you can pack it and then just issue that handling unit also. Okay. So now for our warehouse, we have set up the creation rule, and we are one step ahead towards our complex process. So the next step would be to activate storage control, pick the material, pack it, stage it, load it. So I'm now going to add these further steps to my outbound process. Probably we'll make a start today, and by tomorrow we'll achieve that particular functionality for our outbound, the complex functionality which we are talking about. Okay, so creation rule plays a very important role in outbound. Okay. So any questions guys from anyone on the creation rule?
No, Ron.
Yeah, so if you're new to warehouse management, this creation rule may look slightly complex or complicated, but yeah, but it is very useful. And do 2 3 iterations while you're going through book and practice, and I'm pretty sure you'll understand the connections of creation rule to other elements. Okay. So if no questions, then I will just quickly explain you the delivery integration which we parked initially, and we said we'll discuss it later, right? So what is delivery integration? So delivery integration is about integrating the deliveries which are coming from ERP to EWM. Okay. Now, what happens, in a project, we do get a lot of deliveries uh, configured from the sales or procurement team. So when the deliveries are created, okay, when the deliveries are created, then um, you know they have a delivery type. Okay, so now for the delivery type, for the delivery type, we there is a standard mapping already in place. Okay, so when we create a delivery in ERP, um, let's say delivery type is EL in inbound or LF in outbound. It it is integrated to INB document type in inbound and OUTB document type in outbound. So we have seen in inbound and outbound deliveries, we have something called as document type. So so there are two things which we are going to talk here. What happens if a sales team has created a custom a Z delivery type. So why they create Z? See, basically it may be to Z delivery type, let's say ZNL or ZLF. Why they would create Z? The reason for creating Z would be they would like to have a separate identification for the whole process, or they might have done some enhancements, some additional config. So whatever may be the reason. But when they create a delivery, if we have not mapped them, then it will create an error. Okay, the deliveries will be failed in queue, it will not be distributed. So this is very common in EWM projects. The deliveries are there and then we need to map them. Okay, so how do we map them? Then while mapping, what precautions we should take? So if they have created ZLF, is it mandatory for us to also create ZOUTB? The answer is no. So you have to think whenever the sales team or let's focus on sales because that team creates a lot of custom delivery types. So for those who are new, I'm talking about when I open a delivery, we have a delivery type here. I'm talking about this topic is about this delivery type which we have in the header level. Yeah, LF. So this delivery type, basically, if they have created a Z, how do we make sure that our deliveries are created? So this delivery type is LF, and for that LF, we have created a standard system is assigned it to OUTB. OUT document type. Same way, we have item categories and item type in deliveries. We have here, sorry, in the item level we have a important config. So document type, you can imagine it is similar to the purchase order document type. It controls number ranges, controls fields which are mandatory and many things. So here in the urban delivery, you can see there is something called as item category as well, which controls important settings for that item. So this item category is also mapped to item type in EWM. We'll come to the item for later, but let's find out. This is item type. So they can also create a Z item type, and we may have to create a Z item category. We may have to create a Z item type then. Okay. So okay. So coming back to the document type ZLF they have created. Now the question we need to ask them why you have created, and we need to ask a warehouse super user, hey, do you want to have a custom? See, EWM, we are configuring this process. It's not custom, but um, it's a standard config. It's not, and they're not doing an enhancement as part of standard. Do you we This is a process. We do wave, we do packing, we do staging, loading. Is the outbound process changing for OUTB and ZLF? Our super user says, no, the outbound is going to they remains the same for both these deliveries. You have to understand the purpose and then ask that purpose to the warehouse super user. Let's say they have created a delivery, custom delivery for supplying to a special customer. So I would ask, hey, when you're supplying to that customer, sales team has introduced a new delivery type. Is your warehousing process changing? Do you have any special process for that customer? He says no. Then I don't need to assign ZLF. I don't need to create a custom uh, ZOUTB. I can assign OUTB to ZLF. Okay. So try to see the whole idea while designing the warehouse would be to create this to reduce this delivery types, document types to minimum. Okay. But yeah, you also need to strike a balance somewhere. You may have to identify the documents differently, the process differently. Then yeah, you go ahead and create them, even though the process remains the same. So that later in future they would like to, they can do several um, um, in future they can configure if required anything different for the different delivery types. Okay, different document types. So here you see ZLF, somebody has created ZUTB and assigned it to ZLF. LF or UTB. The sales team can create a lot of a C delivery type they want, and we have to assign it here. If you don't do this config, then your queue will fail. Okay, so basically, I'm not going to do this config because we have to create a delivery type on the ERP to do this, but just want to make you aware that here is where you configure. Okay. Similarly, if they have done a custom item category, so see this is the item category here. Okay, and if they have created a Z item category for LF, let's say they have introduced, we were using TAN, so you can see for TAN it is ODLV. Let's say they have created ZTN, we'll still copy and change it. We'll just copy and just maintain ZTN. Okay, and assign to the item type. So basically, when this queue fails, it gives you the exact node where you have to go and do the config. So delivery integration, my always, in projects I don't spend my time. The sales team or the product procurement team, they have to do their testing, right? So during testing, they say, hey, process this delivery from EWM. You want to check the accounting entries. If at all, some mapping is missing, it will fail in the queue. And then I go and maintain the config. Okay, so sometimes item type mapping or document types are mappings are missing. We go and maintain the config. Okay. So this is all about the um, item types. Okay, and document type and item type. Now you would say, you know, um, okay, if at all there is a need to create a custom document type, where do we configure it, and what are we going to do there? Okay, in that configuration. So since we're in outbound, let's go to outbound. Outbound delivery, define document type for delivery process. So here we have different document category. For OUTB we have um, PDO and FDO. PDO is the outbound delivery and FDO is the outbound delivery order. PDO is the outbound delivery order. FDO is the outbound delivery. Let's go in and see what all configuration we have. So when we come here, here you can see that this document type, there are several settings and there are several profiles. There is number range as well. So if you have wondered, when we create an internal delivery, if it is creating rather than starting from 81, it is starting from 100. This is because it has an internal number range in EWM. For any deliveries which is created in EWM, this is the number range. So here, what are the important things? The number range is one. Then ERP number is our document number. So if you any one of you have seen a system, old EWM system, the ERP deliveries were starting with 8100, and EWM we used to have number range like starting from 2001 to 2099999. So we had a different number range in EWM. Okay, because we used to use EWM decentralized, and now since we have embedded EWM, it's in the same instance, we use this same 81 number in EWM also. Okay, so that config SAP has provided here. Change document if you want to record any changes. So yeah, you can see the delivery of number in EWM is same like delivery number in ERP because of this config. Yeah, okay. Now these are the profiles. So what happens? So this profile are standard. We don't change them. Okay, I'll just the first profile. The action profile is what we change mostly. Make it see. Others we don't change them. Only very rarely in some complex enhancement we may change them. So what is action profile? Action profile is basically the several outputs are at action profile level. So I will when I'm going to discuss, there is a separate topic where we will discuss about all the outputs, the handling unit label, the delivery note, um, the physical inventory, document print. So any print done from EWM, this action profile plays an important role. So this action profile, which is assigned to a document type, it will all the outputs are basically configured at this action profile level. We will it's basically it's required for PPF. Okay, so we will come back to this. Then we have all these several profiles. So see, so some of you who has already worked, or those who have already worked on MMSD modules, see document type in ERP, there are some changes. We only do them if required. Okay, if the standards are good enough, very rarely we change anything. So things like number range, things like if we want to introduce any field control, that means you know we want to change the field, any field you want to make it as mandatory. My super user comes and tells me, hey, I want users to always input this field. Okay, then we'll make it mandatory. Okay, mandatory, optional, whatever. Then you can change that way the field is handled. Status profile controls, what all status are tracked in a delivery. So for example, standard itself, all the required status. So what are the statuses? The picking status, goods issue status, loading status. So these are several statuses which are captured in a delivery. Now if you want to have some custom status, user status, then you will go and configure here. Okay, text profile. If you have any custom text type, you can introduce and you can maintain it at a text profile level. Okay, partner profile, any custom partner profile. So we have different partner functions. If there is a custom partner function on the ERP, we have to maintain it and assign it to a partner profile, or we have a custom partner profile only from EWM perspective, then we will go ahead and maintain the partner profile here. Similarly, date, incompletion profile. Incompletion profile is like any field or any data, if you don't maintain, and if the delivery is to be marked as incomplete. So basically, if for example, if the quality certificate is not attached, or if the GTS clearance has not been given, the delivery should be incomplete. Okay, so you set your criteria here. What is the incompletion criteria? If that is not fulfilled, the delivery will go to error. Okay. Quality offsetting profile. This records all the different quality um, related uh, uh, informations are stored with different units, and all those information are stored in delivery. If you want to change them, then you can make settings here. Reference document profile. So for example, outbound delivery, it can have a reference of PO, STO, production order. But if at all you don't want to allow any reference document category, then you can do that here. Process category, process profile. Basically, it controls you know the what all things are applicable or what all things are not applicable. So for example, for all this profile, you will find the configuration, and it's basically, I'm just giving you a heads up. There will be many projects where you will not even touch this configuration, but just make yourself aware where you have to go if in case you are supposed to do this thing. So if you go to cross process settings, if you go to delivery request, here you have all the profiles. I just want to show you one profile of process. So every profile, we have to first assign a system profile. Okay, that means these are internal profile, for what purpose I'm going to use. I'm using for outbound. And since I'm using for outbound, there is something called GR mode, which is, grayed out because it's an outbound. Unique ASN number, it's grayed out because there's no ASN in outbounds. Similarly, if you see an outbound, there will be settings for inbound. There'll be settings for outbound. If you look at the inbound one, inbound process profile, these all are grayed out because scrapping is not allowed, pickup is not allowed. So using this process profile, you can control, what is allowed and what is not allowed. If I don't want to allow, see production, I'll say disallow. Again, I would reiterate, these profiles, are very, very detailed configured in very much detail by SAP. So we don't, change here only in case of exception scenarios. We come and change here. Very, very rare scenarios, once or twice in a project maximum. Okay, so profiles, every so basically document have profiles. Profiles have system profile. Each profile basically influence the way the delivery is working. Okay, different attributes of the deliveries. Okay, so just revisit this configuration, connect the dots. Similarly, we have for item category, we had item type. So you will find similar screen there for item type definition. You will see all the profiles, and then you can go and revisit the profile configuration. Okay, and whether it's allowed for serialization, kitting, and all those things, you can allow or disallow here. Okay, so similarly, you can map it to a item category of ERP. Okay, so just want to make you aware that this is also possible configurations that we do in a project, in a EWM project. Okay. So that was a quick overview on delivery integration. Any questions on delivery integration? If no further questions, then shall we take a 5 minutes break? I want to give you an overview about the next topic. So can we come back in 5 minutes?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, shall we start? Hmm. Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay, then, so the next topic which we are going to discuss is storage control. So I think I will not spend much time on the slides and understanding. We all know what is the we have. I mean, probably we have discussed it many times. We all know what is the outcome here. We want to implement the multiple steps in the outbound process. Okay, so as of now, we are just picking. Just now we did picking. We took it to GI zone. We did goods issue. Now we want to do an integrated process. We'll pick onto pick handling unit, take it to a packing area. We segregate the parts into different pallets based on the customer. Then we stage them. We created multiple staging area, and then the truck comes. We load it into a truck. There will be task created for truck loading, and then we'll do the goods issue. So here we are going to combine wave, yard, creation rule, and storage control, all the concepts together. Okay. So in case of creation rule, okay, let me give you, some background about. Um, I mean, not background. I mean the steps that we are going to follow to configure storage control and test storage control. Okay. So it. So probably we'll cover the theoretical part today and or configuration today, and tomorrow we can test it in detail. Okay. So storage control, it is applicable for both inbounds and outbounds. Okay, we are going to start with outbound first because to maintain the continuity with our discussion on outbounds. So storage control, um, and there are two types. Okay, I would say, let me put it this way: inbound and outbound both. Also used for internal. Okay, in case you don't ignore it, we haven't started internal processes, but we can also use it for internal. So storage control, there are two types of storage control: process oriented and layout oriented. So what we are discussing now is a process requirement. So just functionally try to understand this. Layout means there is some layout constraint. Here it's a process requirement. We are doing packing, we are doing staging, loading. So this is a process requirement. There can be layout constraints, like you cannot take directly from the pallet to the packing area. You have to take it via lift. So there will be an intermediate process between you know 8006 and 8030 to take it via lift. So we say 006 to the lift and then lift to the packing area. So we can basically have the we can basically have the um, layout control. Okay, which will introduce um, another step because of layout constraint. Lift having a lift, or you have picked it on a um, VNA truck, or a special truck which cannot be used in the other areas. You take the material, drop it here, and then the people in the packing area, they pick it. Okay, so this special truck is used only in this area. So you can also do that. We call it as changing of hands, changing of resources. Okay, so when it comes to um, you know process oriented, layout oriented, what we are going to do outbound, we are going to discuss first, and then when we do inbound, okay, we'll do inbound as a mixed process. Okay, we'll do it. So basically, we'll in outbound we just would do process oriented. Okay, in outbound we are going to test process oriented, and inbound we will, when we test tomorrow or maybe next week, we will say it will be a in process plus layout. We'll add layout constraints also in inbound, and we will test the process with both process requirements and layout requirement as well. Okay, so the scenarios that we are going to run for this pump manufacturing company outbound is purely process oriented. We don't have a layout requirement. The reason we are doing that so that we introduce layout in a second iteration of our process oriented testing when we do it for inbound. Okay, so that time we'll see how the LOSC, we call it as POSC and LOSC, very commonly. So we'll see how this LOSC configuration can be introduced in our inbound, when we test inbound. Okay, for now let's focus on the process oriented. Then in both, or I would say in storage control, the most important thing is we should always work with handling units. Always. Storage control handling units is mandatory. That is a principle. If a company which is having such complex process of picking, passing, staging, loading, we definitely use pallets and handling units. Okay, so the whole when we look at the storage control, we'll see all the when we look at the storage control, we'll see all the configuration or all assignment of the process is done to the handling unit. Okay, so in the handling unit, we'll see it is assigned to a loading step or a picking step. Okay, so handling units are mandatory. We created pick handling unit, and we can also pick full pallets. So once we pick the pallets, then the storage control we see at the handling unit level. You will see the something called a storage process and which step is going on. We'll see that. Okay. So in our outbound, we will have 4 steps. Okay. Outbound POSC, let me say this way. Outbound POSC steps are like ZOB1. Okay. Let's say we call it as pick step. We have another step ZOB2, which will be a packing step. In the ZOB3 will be a staging step, and ZOB4 will be a load step. Okay, so 4 steps we are going to do, and then this basically these steps are grouped together into something called as process. We'll create a process called ZOUTB, OUT, ZOUT, Z outbound, and in that process we'll have 4 steps. Okay, so for our outbound, this is the POSC, or this is the storage process. We call it as is a field in system called storage process. So we assign storage process, and based on the storage process, the different steps are determined. Okay, then okay, then POSC comprises of 2 major configurations. Okay, this is the steps. First, we need to say determination of. Okay, I would say here. Let me say here. Okay, so I'm just let me put down the config steps. Yeah, how we are going to approach the config, because there are too many configuration. Let's follow it in a structured manner. Yeah, configuration steps. Same thing will be followed in outbound also. Okay, so let's say we'll say creation of process with steps. Okay, what is going to be a process? Okay. Then what we need to do is determination of intermediate area for each step. Okay, so determination intermediate area means when we are picking, where do we take it for pack? There are 20 storage type. Why only 8033? We have to configure it somewhere, right? So we have something called as rule based and something called as default or fixed, whatever you may call it. Okay. Rule based means we maintain some table and there are different criterias based on which we determine where to take it for packing, or we say fixed that always packing take it to 8002, 80030, whatever. Okay. um, then for each of this intermediate area we have to say what is going to be our where do we what is going to be the intermediate area, which area we should send the material. Then third step is assignment of storage process or determination of storage process. Yeah, basically when we do the storage process, okay, so the storage process we create a storage process, so but we have to assign it somewhere, right? Like we have inbound delivery, we have data in inbound delivery, we have created a task. How we'll know that it has to follow these four steps? As of now it is not following, but how we tell the system that it has to follow the four steps? Or some, see, basically some deliveries you will say, hey Rohan, my customer say, hey Rohan, I don't want packing step. Whenever you are sending material to so and so customer, just pick it, put it into a pallet while picking and send it away. We don't need pallets for a particular route, a particular customer, a particular type of delivery. Like say if you're doing scrapping, you don't need to do staging, loading, you just pick and that's it. Just one step picking and then you could issue it. So basically we determine the storage process or we assign the storage process. So this process where it is assigned in inbound, it is assigned to the storage process is assigned to the inbound, it is assigned to warehouse process type. In outbound, it is assigned to the config that we just saw, warehouse order creation rule. There was a storage process there. You might have seen that. So we'll create this storage process with steps and we'll assign it to the warehouse order creation rule. Okay. So now, then, once you maintain this config, this so once you maintain several configuration in each of these sub areas, then you will be able to then test it, because all other configuration we have done as part of groups. We have done separately, creation rule done separately, yard done separately. Ideally, if at all we would have not discussed those functionality independently, we have to do it now. But now, this is these three are pure POSC config. Okay, just these three configuration, that's it. Okay, so yeah, so in outbound we go with four steps. In inbound we will go with some three or four steps, and then we'll add another step of layout over there. Okay, because of some layout constraint. So I think that's it. That should be it. We should then now try doing this configuration and testing. Any questions on storage control? Any questions so far? Anything anybody would like to discuss before we check? Yeah.
No, Rohan, I'm good from my end.
Okay. Mm, okay. So now let me log into system and at least let's try to do the configuration. Maybe not, we may not be able to do the entire testing today, but let's see how much we can cover. So SAP reference IMG. First thing, creation of storage control. Go here. We say cross process setting, warehouse tasks, process oriented storage control. So here we can create 4 steps, or we can see if somebody has created these steps. Let me pick this. Yeah, ZOB1, OB2, OB3, OB4. Basically, you can create your own ones. In this system, there is too many ZOs. Probably every student of mine, goes and creates here. So I'll pick these ones. Yeah, ZOT1 is also there. Somebody might have created ZOD. All are same because they are as internal. They are every step is assigned to an internal step which is same. So when I create a picking, I will assign it to pick, pack, stage, load. Yeah. So this is the external identification of the step, but internally it's a picking. How we'll know it's picking, how we'll know it's staging. So we assign it to an internal step. These are the standard internal steps which SAP has provided, and we don't change them. Okay, we cannot change them, so we have to assign to one of the steps. Then we come here, and then we click a new entry. We'll say warehouse WH35, storage process ZOUT. Okay, storage process outbound, and then I'll say direction is outbound. Yeah, so I would put say stock removal. Okay, come here and I'll assign the steps. So I said ZOB1, picking is ZOB1, packing is ZOB2, staging is ZOB3, and loading is ZOB4. Okay, so the first task for, see, this is automatic task creation. Okay, we need to set it up. Why? Let's say when we are doing picking, the task is created through wave. Okay, in a complex integrated scenario, task is created through wave. Okay, so we don't need to create a task to the packing area, but once the packing is done, there will be a task created to the staging area. So I'll create automatic. So as soon as the packing is completed, I want system to create a task automatically from packing area to the staging area. So now the stock is in the staging area. While picking, when we pick the stock, bring it to the um, packing, it's done through wave. So I'm not clicking this, but from packing to the staging, I want the automatic task to be created. Now from outbound staging to the truck, I cannot automate that because when as soon as my staging is done, my truck may be there or it may not be there. Okay, so I would say don't create task automatic. It will be manually created when the truck comes. Okay, so these are the steps. This way we have completed our first config, which is creation with step. Now let us do the next config, which is very straightforward, assigning it to the storage control. Assigning the storage control to the Assignment of storage control to the creation rule. So when I pick from 8004 now for my outbound, ZOUT storage process will be determined. We will be able to see that, and we'll be also able to see what steps are being carried out. Okay, whether we are doing picking, packing, staging, loading, you can also track that now. Okay, so that was the third config that we just saw. Now let's go to the second one. Now when we pick, okay, let's go to this folder now. Okay, so when we pick the parts, we know that from where to pick, right? So so the picking, the source, we know it is going to pick from 8004. We have strategies, and when the wave is released, it will go and pick from the area. Okay, but for our steps, this is pack, load, stage. Okay, let me copy the standard 3. Okay, I'll copy them because I want to use a process type. Okay, so every 3 of them have a different process type. So what we have is, we have we need to tell ZOB2 where to take. Just we need to tell the system ZOB2 where to take the parts to. Okay, so which area we should take it? ZOB3, ZOB4, and which process type to be used? See, process type 2010 in the delivery is going to be used for picking. Now from picking, we take it to a packing area. So for packing to staging, we will use this. Okay, you will use this. And then from staging to loading, we'll use this. And for loading, we'll use this. So you will see in the monitor. So when I'm going to execute this outbound process, you will see in the monitor that system is going to we'll see in the monitor that system is going to assign a separate process type for each step. So you can basically, based on the process type query, you can see which step is carried out and when it was carried out. So SAP has created these 3 process type for each of these steps. I am just reusing that so that I don't have to create them. We know very well now how to create the process type. Yeah. So here there is something called, I told you there are 2 ways of determining. One is rule based and one is automatic. Okay. So let's say for my packing, I will not say rule based. I say, for packing, always take to 8030. It's a default. I just have one packing area. So when I say rule based, that means let me create a bin in the packing area. When I'm saying rule based, that means it has to come from some other config, other table, other determination table. We'll see that for the next one. Okay. So let us create a packing bin. Storage type is 8030, I think, for packing. Yeah. And we have already created our staging bins. Yeah. So we don't need to worry. So whenever we create a bin, we need to make sure that we sort it. I have a habit to sort the entire warehouse. So let me do that. Okay, coming back here, I will say, always take it to packing. So it's a default, hard coded, whatever you may say. But when it is ZOB2, we can say rule based. Rule based means there is some table in easy access screen where we can say which staging area to take. So I'm going here, shipping and receiving. Or I should go to settings rather. Staging area, door determination inbound or door determination outbound. So here you can say for outbound, based on process type, route, customer, you can say which staging, which. So basically, rule based means you have to go to the easy access screen. There is similar screen for the there is a similar screen for the inbound and for packing also. So you can, based on several parameters, you can say what is the staging area group that we want to determine. So I'll say 9020 is outbound staging, and let's say assign it to staging area 3, and this is the bin. Okay, and then door is optional. We can say okay, always prefer taking to a door. I'll say keep it blank for now. Okay, so default door can also come from the staging area. So now here we said, for a process type, you can also say for a route, if it is so and so route. Typically, if it is a particular customer, okay, a particular ship to or a particular carrier, of we want to have a dedicated staging area and dedicated door, so we can assign based on them also here. So staging area, you don't want to keep it fixed. You want to keep it, you know, based on certain variables. So then you will say rule based, and standard SAP gives you good number of variables here. Okay. So let's say packing we set fixed, staging we set rule based, loading by default always you don't have an option. It will always be rule based because loading. So in packing the destination is packing bin. In staging the destination will be staging area 2 or 3, whatever we have maintained. But for loading the destination will always be the truck. Okay, it's always going to be the truck. So a truck or a TU, we cannot fix it, isn't it? So it always has to be rule based, and there will be no determination table in rule based because the process will determine which truck. I cannot tell, the truck number now, or I cannot maintain a rule that for this customer this is the truck. Trucks keeps on changing, right? Truck license number will keep on changing. So you need to click on rule based and don't do anything. Okay, system will automatically see for the delivery what is the TU, what is the truck, and it will allow you to load the part onto that truck. Okay, dynamically system will determine. So this was a third config, determination for each step, and then there are some additional settings that we need to make sure we have done it before we test it. So I'm going to review them quickly. So one of the setting is the, let me go to SPRO, storage type. Yeah, now for storage type, for packing or storage type for staging, you will see standard SAP has assigned a standard SAP step ZOCT. We need to change that with ZOB2. Okay. So don't worry, all of these configurations are listed in my document. So with all the steps that we are executing now, so even if you miss anything, you can just go there and refer it. And then, if you remember, we did one setting earlier in the work center. So we created work center for our packing area, which is ERP. We said it's 8030. This is the process type going to be used for packing. But now we have created our own step. We come and assign the step over here, which is what packing we are going to perform. ZOB2. In this pack center, we are going to perform step of ZOB2. Okay, so I would mention it here. Assign step 2. Assign step 2 9020. Assign step 2 ERP work center. Okay, so we have done that. Then we also need to make sure that for packing there is a setting. Master data think I'm logging it. Okay, so VRP packing, we give a packing bin here, default packing bin here. So let me give that also here. Okay, save it. For each work center, we need to give a default bin. So I've given that. Now, what I will do is I'll just quickly review if I have covered all the config or not. Okay, just don't want to. We'll discuss inbound next time. Okay, inbound POSC. So we pick the material, we pack them, we stage them, then we load them. So we created a process steps, we created a storage process, we assign the steps, then we maintain the locations. Then we have also changed the work center. We have maintained the packing bin. We have done the determination. We have not determined the packing area. We have determined the staging area. So if you want to determine the packing area, you can do it over here in this transaction. If you want to make packing as a rule based, you can come and maintain here. Then I think we have maintained the storage process also, and we have also assigned the creation rule. Perfect. So in 9020 also we have maintained the external step. So I think we are good. We are good at this stage to do a complete pick, pack, stage and load. Okay. So let's try now. Since we already have the data in place, let's try to do it now. So while we are testing, while we are executing storage process, always make sure you have warehouse monitor screen open so that you can see parallelly, what you are doing and what's CWM slash, I'll say monitor, what process types are getting determined. Okay, I think, yeah, let me create a new outbound. Okay, so delivery quantity, let's say 2. Okay, and let me save it, and then again let me order remaining 2 as well. Okay, so let's say there are these 2 deliveries. And 0, 2, 5 and 2, 6. Both of them are assigned to the same wave. Yes, any question? I hear some background noise. Okay, okay. No question, then we'll continue. So we wave, okay. Now the wave is going to be released, and we create one order. So now we directly picked and goods issued that. Yeah. Now we are going to take these 2 material together in a packing area, and then we are going to separate them. Okay. And so as of now, we in the initial example we created a pick handling unit. We picked all the quantities and we goods issue that. Now this pick handling unit will take it to a packing area. We'll repack for based on the customer, and then we will stage and load them. Okay. So here, this is the order. Let's go to our RF screen. The order we start picking. We pick onto pick handling unit. We first pick 2 pieces. Let me go and check which handling units are available, or maybe I can just say 60s there. 61 would also be there. Oh, these are SSCC. So let me go and check in the monitor from which palette I can pick the parts. Let's say 77. Let me pick from 77. So I'm picking 2 pieces here. D-Nash F100. 2 pieces again. Copy the HU. Come here. Then I'll again pick the other 2 from the same bin. Same HU. same palette I'll put it here. Now you will see this palette is not going to GI area. Okay, it is going to the packing area. Scan the palette and I'll take it into a packing area. Okay, it is also asking me to scan the other one as well. Okay, so we picked, but this time it went to a packing area. Okay, now generally, we do the packing. So if you see the task here, just keep looking at the task. So for both the deliveries, 2010 process type picking has been done and it's gone to the packing area. So now generally packing guys, they do it on a work center. Okay, so work center is ERP. If we go inside, you will see the two palettes that we have picked. Okay, now I was planning to pick both of them on the same palette and then separate them here. Let's say, let's do the other way. So we pack them together, or we pack them into some other palette that we can do something over here. But here you can see the step, currently packing step and storage process is assigned to them. Here you can get that information. Okay. So what I will do here is I'll say both these palettes, I would pack them together into a large carton. Okay, like this. I'm doing some packing, isn't it? Okay. So now this palettes, you can see it has been assigned to the outer palette now, the storage process and step. Once you do your packing, you save it. And then now it should go to the staging area. Okay. So this part will only go to staging area when you tell the system that you completed the packing. See, the parts are here. How will system know whether it has to be taken to a packing area? You have to specifically select the palette and say complete process step for the HU. So you can see here the checkbox gets set that the step is completed. And when you refresh it, you will see something like this. This is nothing but a task. Okay. So one ending with 81. So you can see that in the monitor as well. So now we pack them into one palette. Both these picked palettes, we put them into one palette. And if you see the task, system has created tasks for packing. Y340 is the packing process type, which we maintain in the work center. And 370, task number 81, it's basically to take the material from the packing area to the GI zone. Now there is a problem here. Why it took to GI zone? Because we told system, hey, take it to the staging area too, right? So what we need to do here, one configuration which we did initially, we'll have to correct that config. Since we have maintained a determination rule, we don't want the GI zone should come up anytime. We don't want GI zone at all. So if you remember initial days, we did the configuration at a process type level. We gave a GI zone. I think that we forgot to remove. So I don't want to give it here because I've maintained the rule. System will determine the staging area automatically. Okay. So I'll keep it blank. So next time when we test it, we'll see the staging area will come up correctly. For now, it's okay. Let it be in GI area. We will load from the GI area itself onto the truck. Okay, so let me confirm this task. I can also confirm it on the scanner. So now confirmation on scanner is generally done by, scanning the pallet. The person in the packing area, the person in the staging area will see that on the gun, or he'll see the parts are there available. He'll just simply go onto the scanner. He can enter the warehouse order, or he can basically go to the HU, scan the pallet. Start picking. Manual selection. Selection by HU. Enter the HU. Oops, why it is saying order form? Outback is not assigned or what to my resource. Let me try and use some other resource. FLT 10 resource group 2. Okay. I need to pick the right resource. So which one is assigned to Outback? Outback is assigned to RG4. So the resource for packing is assigned to group RG4. So the resource we should use is forklift 4. Forklift 4 is supposed to do the packing, yeah? Move it to the packing area. So let me go back to RF. Come on. Slash CWM slash RFUI. Let's choose forklift 4. The resource forklift 4 comes in, goes, looks at the pallet, scans the pallet, and then scans the bin from where he's supposed to pick the part. And then he'll scan the GI zone to complete the staging. Okay, so now here you can see if you go back to the monitor, you can see that note this task is confirmed and there are no other open tasks. Okay, so all tasks are with status C. Now we have to load it onto a truck. So truck will come at the door and then this HU will be loaded. Okay, so let us do the yard movements now. I will create a TU, assign the deliveries to the TU, and then we will see how the loading can be done. Okay, let's create a truck yard movement. So this can happen parallelly, while you're picking. Shipping team can work parallelly to get the truck arranged. Okay, assign cross delivery handling unit. I assign it. Okay, that's fine. So truck is ready. Let's say it has come to the gate. We'll say arrival plus save. It comes to the gate. Arrival plus checkpoint. Then I'll say move it to the door. I will, at this moment I see door 2 is empty. So I'll move it to the door 2. So from yard you can see the yard door bin. Now when we are going to load it, you will see the door bin on the warehouse perspective. Okay. So now if I come back to my RF scanner, I can go back now, do outbound. loading. I can say loading by TU, loading by HU. I can see the handling unit there. So I'll scan the handling unit in the staging area. I can see the truck is there. I'll scan the handling system, or I can scan the truck number, TU number, or the door number, whatever. Okay, so saying it's not ready for loading. Let us see. So let's look at the palette. Why it is saying it's not ready for loading. Let me see the handling unit here. So packing is done, but the staging task seems to be not completed. ZOV2 red 9020. Just give me a minute. I'm just saying not ready for loading. I'll come out of this transaction here. I'm going to display mode. Fresh. Then let me quickly check the storage type. Nine zero two zero. Okay, we assigned ZOV2. That's fine. So it should allow me to do the loading. Come on. F9. That's what it says. It's not ready for loading. Let me do some workaround to see if I can manually create a task. Just trying to identify the reason. Go here, foreign function, load. Say create loading task. Save it. Okay. There's already a task created, but I'm not sure why I'm not able to confirm it. Let me do F7. Manual selection. Selection by HU. It is only loading task. I think maybe the queue is missing. That could be the reason. We'll have to make sure the queues are assigned. Okay, so it has created a task. Okay, from okay, so you can see it is creating a task. Step is still staging. We should create a task for ZOB4 from GI zone to GI zone. So it seems there is some issue here. I need to check this. It should go from GI zone to the truck, not the same bin. So it means there is something which is still missing. I fear that it could be the GI zone. We did not enter staging area. We entered GI zone. So I think yeah, that could be the reason. So what we will do is probably um, I would create a new delivery and move the stock to the GI zone. Are we okay to wait for 10 minutes so that we can test it now itself?
Yes, Ron.
Okay, then let me quickly create this. So this GI zone is causing an issue. We should have our own staging area. That is the reason. So let me create a new delivery. This time I'll try to, maybe, we'll focus on loading only. We packing and all, we can just ignore them. Okay, this sale order is closed. Let me increase the quantity for the sale order. Let's say maybe 80. Okay, so this time I'll just take one pallet and I'll try to, we'll focus on the loading. So I'll quickly complete packing. One pallet. Change. I need to enter the store location as well. Okay, save it. 1027 slash SAP slash PRDO. I'm not going to do waves and all. I will just quickly create it here. Click to save. Oops. Why it is saying no transfer? Okay. I think we have missed one setting here. Staging, we maintain the staging area determination, but there is something called, below that there is this config or master data called access sequence. Let me maintain that. So you can see, since we removed GI zone, it is not finding GI zone. Okay, now we have maintained a staging area determination, but in that staging area determination, there is another config or access sequence. We'll say for outbound, it is based on process type. Okay, I think this was missing. Let me go back and come in again. Should go to staging area. Should try finding the staging area. Okay, I think we need to recreate the delivery because the staging area gets determined when the delivery is created. Right, let's do it again then. Slash n VLO1n. No worries, we have a lot of quantities. Let me put some date in very future. For picking, then save 1028. I can see staging areas come up here now. Where are stars? Create plus save. This time no error. Order 268 is created. I'll go to the scanner. So I'll go here slash and slash SCWM slash RFUI outbound 7 outbound picking by WO. Enter the order number here. I think it's 68, I guess. I will enter a Euro pallet. F2 handling unit goes ahead. Let's go and take a pallet from that bin. In the monitor, we should be able to see that. And let me pick this handling unit. Come in here, pick 4 pieces from here. Take the pallet to the staging area. The packing bin. Okay, so this is the HU. Let's go to the packing area. And in the work center /SAP EWM/PACK. This time we just have one pallet. We will pack it onto a carton. And then what we will do is we would put the 0 pallet into carton, save it, tell the system complete the step. Then handling unit, we will log in as a forklift 4, and then I would confirm it into the packing area or in the staging area. The stock is in the staging area now. Let's create a truck. The delivery number is 28. Let's create a truck for this one. Work center. We don't have TU thing here. Let me create a truck. Outbound. Assign delivery number 28, ending with 28, isn't it? Okay, that's our HU, I think, ending with 4. That's it. Then I'll say the truck has come. I will take the truck to a door. Let's say which door is available now. So there is already a truck on door 2. Let me put it on door 3. Create plus save. Done. So now the truck is at the door. Now it's time to try loading. So where is my HU? Now let me go to RF. F7. Selection by, okay, F7. Outbound. Loading. Loading by HU. Come on, now pick it up. Oh, come on, same error, huh? Okay, let me have a look. It seems there's something else which is causing an issue. So I'll have a look, why it's not loading. So the thing, just the loading bit is pending. So once we load it, then we will have to goods issue it. So we'll check this today offline, and then tomorrow I'll let you know what is the issue.
Sure.
Okay, 1 second, create loading task. It's not picking up the truck. Not sure the reason. Okay, we might have missed a tick here and there. No worries, I'll have a look tomorrow and update you on this. So, any questions before we stop today? So, we need to do the loading and then goods issue and then check this out of the yard. So, we'll do that tomorrow and whatever time permits, we'll start inbound. Okay. So, anything anybody would like to discuss before we end for today? Mission rule, delivery integration, and we did POSC outbound. Yeah. Okay. Okay, then if no questions, then we'll end the session for today. We'll catch up again tomorrow and continue inbound process with storage control. Okay.
Sure, Rohan.
Okay. Thank you all. Bye. Have a nice
Thank you,
day.
Rohan.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.